So to get started, I know that at least before we get started, I do want to give a big thank you to Dawn, who helped set everything up. She was
Yes.
absolutely delightful. We were exchanging emails back and forth. So if Dawn happens to see this, thank you very much for helping set
That's
this up. I appreciate that.
Don Smith shout out off the chop. Except for that tired ass football team of hers from Pittsburgh.
I'm not gonna make a comment on that.
Yeah, well, listen, I'm the one that sounds ridiculous. They're undefeated, but I'm a Browns fan, so I had to get that out there.
And I'm a Dolphins fan, and it's just this year that we're really starting to get something. So
It's been a minute. It's been a minute.
I don't feel I have the right to make any comments.
I'm happy for you.
Now, Jason, one thing that I do want to tell you from the beginning, I actually met you about 8 years ago. You don't know this. You don't know this.
Where were we?
So I was an FIU student, and I was working in the FIU Media Relations department. So I was working with Paul Dotson, Matt Ratner, Megan Aspiazzu.
Okay.
And I was running around, basically passing papers along, moving journalists down to the field to interview whoever. And Matt Ratner would always tell me this thing where he said, Anthony, football games here at FIU, they're going to be very chaotic. You're going to be running from spot to spot, but it's going to be organized chaos, is how he classified it. I'm like, okay. And in that chaos, when everything kind of died down a little bit and the game started, coming into the room, into the suite, was Jason Jackson. It was you. And I'm like, oh, I know who that is. I know who that is. And then you're standing there, and right next to you is Tim Reynolds. And then right next to Tim Reynolds is George Sedano. And I'm like, this is like basically all of Miami sports right there in that little room.
You're a guy.
So I'm like, I kind of wanted to jump in and at least like say hello, but I'm like, no, you're working. You can't do it. You got to stop. You got to just let them be. They're enjoying the game. So, and I remember I'm like, my friends will never believe this, that all three of them were here at the same time. So I snapped one picture, which I'll add to this interview, which was just the three of you guys talking, which I thought was like the coolest thing because I started in sports journalism first and then transitioned more into like the entertainment area. So yeah, I did want to tell you that because I'm positive you did not know that at all.
That's wild. I used to be out there a lot, though. My wife was the director of student athlete academic services for FIU. I want to say from '05 to what's it got to be to at least 10, maybe 11.
Okay, so that was right around my freshman year, her last year.
No doubt.
Now, the way I like to start these interviews is from the beginning. So I know that you were born and raised in Ohio, correct?
I was, yes.
And how was that upbringing like for you?
The best. I actually, it's a part of me that wishes my sons had that experience. There is just something very stereotypical Midwest about the Midwest. Like we are what you think we are. People look each other in the eye. They say hello. They don't want to hug as much. So I do like that about down here. There's a lot of handshaking that goes on in Ohio and Indiana, Michigan, Illinois, that general vicinity there, Pennsylvania. But I enjoyed every memory that I have that is buoyant. The ones that still resonate within me are all really good. From the neighborhoods in Cleveland being so diverse to the commitment to high school athletics in Cincinnati, the town that I was born in, Delaware, Ohio, just being that quintessential kind of nowhere nothingness, but the people loved being where they were from. My father was born and raised in Delaware, Ohio. And after my parents graduated from Central State University, they were married in Cincinnati, but then lived in this small town about 24 miles north of Columbus, Ohio for about 3 years before we moved to Cleveland. And then at age 13, an awesome age to move, by the way, we moved to Cincinnati. But when I think about holidays, when I think about sporting events or concerts or student government or anything having to do with school or sports during that period, except for the fact that I was very average athletically. So I'm glad I was slightly above average academically, or I would have.
Well, you're very known in the sports arena in general. So I think you found
that that's the case doesn't bother me at all.
Now, talking about Ohio,
Hmm.
so I did some research on you. As the good journalist that I am, I did some research. So I
Very
know
good.
that, at least according to you, your mom was a little bit of a songstress, correct?
Yeah,
And she
yeah,
was a
she and her
part
sister.
of the church choir,
Hmm.
which now I need to ask you, can Jason Jackson sing?
In my mind,
In-
in my mind. Listen, I understand music theory, chord progression. I am a percussionist.
okay.
Started playing music at a very young age. I don't even think I was 5 when I had my first piano lesson. And so I still dabble in that space. I love to listen to people talk about music theory and music writing. And I think in about 4 years, I'm going to kind of recommit. And the
Okay.
only reason why I'm going to say 4 years is that that's when my youngest son will be a senior in college. And we have this small tradition. This is actually my oldest son's room that I'm in now, and
Okay.
I've converted it into.
Because
It's a little bit of a shrine to Justin. You know, all his accolades from Columbus High School and whatnot up there. But his bed, as you can see, folds in so that I can have this space on this side of the room as an office. For young Jordan's room, I'm going to turn that into basically what you have behind you, a bit of a music studio
except yours is going to be real.
and
Yeah.
I am actually going to be able to move some dials
Okay.
and levers. But back to your thing. No, I cannot sing, but I am a karaoke monster.
Okay.
So I like having the backdrop of the artists that put together whatever song I'm attempting to sing, and then I just give it everything I got. I am a showman, so
That's
that's
sure.
enough.
I know.
That's
I,
enough.
now that you mentioned karaoke, what's your go-to karaoke song?
Well, there are so many. There isn't one that I just go, let me go up here and get it. But if there's a showstopper, let me give you that. The showstopper is Poison by Belle Biv DeVoe.
Poison, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So then, wait. So in growing up, what was your, at least in college, what was your go-to music that you would always listen to?
Always love songs, man. R&B love songs. I don't play around. Channel 40 on Sirius XM, Heart and Soul locked in. Right now, I'm in total holiday mode as we record this. So I'm not in my regular repetition. No, I love R&B singers. I love soul singers. I love people that just make you feel what they're saying. So I get sucked into the blues a little bit. I probably most love America's first music, which is
Okay.
jazz. Jazz to me is, and you can argue blues, I guess, but in the sense of kind of orchestral, arranged um, music, jazz is our bourbon, man. Like it's
Nice.
it's uniquely American, and it's so improvisational and breaks the rules, and so that for anyone that knows me a little bit, that could be on the tombstone. He broke some rules, and boy, did he improv.
Well, that's a great thing to put on the tombstone. Let me just.
Yeah, man. No time soon. I'm in no hurry for that stone, by the way. No doubt.
I'm on a glass table, so I can't necessarily knock on wood, but knock on wood.
That's okay. I got some Formica. I'll knock on it over the
Now, one thing I do want to ask you. So you went to Bowling Green, correct?
I did. I did. Matter of fact, that's right there. That's the seal.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So
All
you're
Falcons.
a very proud alumni. So
Yeah.
then, I'm assuming you attended there from 1990 to 1994. Would that be
Excellent math out of you.
okay? So within that window, right?
Mhm.
I'm assuming you got a degree in journalism, was it, or was it broadcast?
Bachelor of Arts in Communications. Yes, sir.
And how did you find out that that was the track that you kind of wanted to venture in?
One of my favorite stories. I thought I wanted to be a high school American history teacher that coached baseball. I love baseball. Basketball's paid all my bills. I got no problem with that orange leather, but I love baseball. And I thought that was going to be my life. My father, who had a Bachelor of Arts with an emphasis in English, my mother, education major, um, my grandmother on my mom's side, my maternal grandmother, and a educator as well. My father made it really plain. I'll give you the quote. This is not a paraphrase. This is a quote. I will not subsidize the education of yet another educator. Find something else.
Wow. Wow. Is there any
Yeah, man.
had that
That's
kind
all
of
right. That's okay. Because you know what the something else was? The something else was television broadcaster. There was this Myers-Briggs assessment. It was an assessment back in the day. They may still use it.
yeah,
That
I use
assesses your personality with careers. Number 2 on my list, man, broadcaster. So we had an instructional television program, which to my great disappointment is no longer at my alma mater, Princeton High School outside of Cincinnati. But Princeton Instructional Television gave me a taste, man. They let me do a commentary on the weekly news, sight unseen. Just let me walk in and knock it down. Now, it's not like I was just some kid in the high school. I was at the time, the vice president of student body, on top of being somebody that was known to many for the fact that I was just so super involved. I was. This was before I was Jax, but if that was my moniker back then, it'd be Jax of all trades, master of none. That's how it was with me. From the theater to the music wing, to basketball, football, and baseball, to student government, to my homework. Like I was busy. I was everywhere. But yeah, man, it was really evident that I had stuck it. Like this was going to be the thing. So I knew at 16 that this is what I wanted to do.
That's really early.
Yeah, man. The clarity of it is not lost on me.
Mm-hmm.
I try my best not to put pressure on my sons to do or be anything that their mother or I have become. They have their own path. But I have encouraged focus, figure it out before you get there. And at least you can change it, right? You can change what it is that you want to do. But I was very fortunate. And then radio, television, film was the program at the time at Bowling Green State University. And I was also in a awesome internship program that actually was more business and engineering. But one of the companies in this program entitled Inroads, one of it was Scripps Howard. Scripps Howard owned the then CBS, now ABC affiliate in Cincinnati. And I ended up getting into the internship program, ended up getting that internship, had it all 4 years. So by the time I was ready for graduation, I was already hired at WSVN for the first gig. Yeah.
And that's kind of what I wanted to ask you, is because like I don't want to like generalize college students in general, but speaking for myself, when I was at FIU, the goal was just to get to FIU. I had no idea what my degree was. Yeah. I ended up going through, from business to international business to psychology to criminology, just working my way through different degrees.
Yeah.
And eventually when I started to work within the Beacon newspaper was when I found out I really love journalism. But usually when you graduate, it's kind of like that reality hits a little bit, where now not everything's scheduled. You don't know, okay, yeah, I have my classes every week. No, now it's just you have to figure out your path. Yeah. And you went from college, and your first gig is WSVN. And I believe you worked there from 94 to 95.
Right, about 18 months, yeah.
And in those 18 months, is it safe to say in those 18 months was when you first fell in love with Miami?
That was the first 15 minutes. I loved this place the second I got here. So here's my history with Miami. My parents' honeymoon in 1970 was here in Miami. Okay. So I always had this kind of, but we never came here as like on a family vacation. Mm-hmm. So Orlando was as far as we got south, and I just had this feel, this kind of, it had to be kind of like a mystique of what Miami was going to be. And then obviously from 1970 to 1994, Miami changed a great deal.
Yeah.
And it just became so much, right? This international financial center, right? Of the Americas, this gateway of finance and goods and people. And then South Beach obviously became a thing right in front of my eyes, basically. There was that one little period when I first moved here that there was some crime over there in the tourist section, which was tough for Miami to maneuver, but it was able to get out of that and really crack down on it and get it out of there. And for the last 25 years, it's just been the world's playground
Uh-huh.
for vacations and whatnot. So, I fell in love off the plane. I will tell you this quick story though. When I came down, so I got the job in March of '94. You do that math, you seem to do it well. It was 60 days before I was graduated, and so I really had to push them to understand why it wasn't so important for me to graduate. And I'll tell you the truth now. I told a lie, like I was the first person in my family. I'm third generation college graduate, which is very unique for African Americans. So it was easy for me to sell it's really important to my family that I graduate. Like, it was important to me. Like, we get this far, I am not pulling the plug 2 months short. I would have if they demanded it, because also remember, May is a part of the ratings period that's referred to as sweeps period, where so much of the emphasis of really good programming is in place, because those viewing patterns set the pricing for commercials for that quarter that is to follow. So it was not an easy request to say, yes, I know this is one of the 3 most important periods in all of the newsroom from a business standpoint, but I'll be there in the middle. I'll be there by the 12th, which I believe that year, we graduated on the 7th of May, and then bam, I'm in the first gig 5 days later. So
did you pinch yourself a little bit in that moment? Did you pinch yourself at least at any moment? Because it happened so quickly.
Yeah, no, I don't think I had any time. I didn't have any time. I did, in that window, that 2-month window leading up to it, I was pretty astonished. The thing I wanted to share with you was when we came down for the house hunting trip, looking for an apartment. And I had not seen the news. I had not seen South Florida's news station, other than walking in the newsplex for my interview. I had not seen a show. And I remember sitting down on my hotel bed just to watch the noon news. And the first segment blew my wig off. It ripped my shirt off. It was just story after story after story. And as you remember, back then, it was if it bleeds, it leads stuff. And it was just, I don't know if that's changed at all, by the way, but it was just death and crime and destruction, and then traffic and weather. And then more, the same. I was like, what have I done? Like, news didn't move that fast in Cincinnati. What they did in the first segment, and which was long, by the way, to me, but I didn't realize those shows were an hour until I sat there. What they did in the first 12 minutes, you would get in the full newscast. So I knew at that point, I remember looking at my girlfriend at the time, who is now my wife of 25 years. I looked over and was like, what did I do? What have we done?
I'm sorry to cut you off, but I didn't know that. So you've been with your wife now for 25 years.
I've been with her for 33 years.
33 years. So
we started dating when we were 15.
When you were 15.
Yeah.
Jason, that's crazy.
A while.
That is crazy. That is, I think, the quintessential old school kind of love story type thing where you meet your high school sweetheart and it really ends up being kind of
it's super lazy. You just marry the first person that tells you they love you.
No.
One or the other, Anthony. You get to decide.
No, I'm going to decide on the fairy tale part.
There you go. My man.
Now, one thing I do want to ask you is because you're here in Miami for. Actually, hold on. Before I jump into that, because I don't want to lose this. You're very known for your style, in general. You're always dressed very well, very colorful. If it's not a bow tie, it's a tie, or you're wearing something that's very stylish.
Yes, no doubt.
And it fits very much into that Miami style. How much did Miami influence that style, and how much was that style already ingrained with you back when you were growing up in Ohio?
We were clean, but we didn't pop like that.
Okay.
When we were kids, and probably back then it was a Sunday focus. I did wear ties to school in high school.
You
and I
did.
went to public high school. But I just felt clean. There was just something about it that just felt good, about going to my father's closet and stealing a tie and making that, and not every day, but when I knew I had meetings or any engagement of any sort, I was quick to throw a tie on. But no, man, I tell people all the time. This is my line about Miami. Somebody will ask, "Well, what's the attire?" And I always say, "It's Miami. It's whatever you want." Like, and that's the vibe I always have. Like, you can be uh to the nines, right? Or you could be super casual and still fit into most dynamics. I mean, if you're at a gala or a ball, yeah, you got to throw on a black tie, what have you. But outside of that, man, I always feel like you get to tell your story from a fashion standpoint the way that you choose here in Miami. I've been around events where some brothers roll in with the biggest pair of jeans I've ever seen hanging down beneath their behind with a tank top on, and then you turn to the corner over here, and some ladies over there in sequins. So I've tried to embrace the fact that we don't have those kind of contrived seasonal color things. I try to adhere to it when we're on the road, so I'm not like splashing everybody, in Milwaukee in February. But I've even kind of let go of that. The rotation is the rotation. Behind these doors over here, I'm gonna give you a little peek. Behind those doors right there, I used to keep all of the doodads, all the duds. They have since moved into the master closet after some renovations. But as I stole a line from Coach Spolstra, the rotation is the rotation.
The rotation is the rotation.
Yeah, I don't play with it. I'm serious. The suit dictates everything else. And then when I wear a suit, I move it down here. And then the next suit that's right here is getting worn next, and we'll accessorize from there.
Is that your favorite Eric Spoelstra coat?
No, no, it's just one I like. Listen, I'm like the Pied Piper of Spoisms. Whenever he comes up with something, man, I get it out there. So hold on to the rope and growth mentality and man, I get it all out.
I don't know if it's his or Pat Riley's. Keep the main thing the main thing.
Yeah, that's a Riley trickle down.
That's
Now he's on to the next thing.
no, but for me, that's always been my favorite. Now, again, because I know I only have you for like about an hour. So, one thing I did want to ask you. So, after WSVN, you're there for 18 months. So, in 1995, you go from the local affiliate WSVN here in Miami to ESPN.
Yes.
And you work from there from 1995 to 2002?
2002 sounds right. Yeah.
I believe until 2002. But for any sports journalist, I think the dream for everyone is to be on ESPN. That's the goal. Like there's no, like I think that to this day it's still the pinnacle is ESPN. So for you, being the sports fan that you are, football, baseball, basketball, to get to ESPN, how surreal was that for you?
It was staggering. And I wasn't really prepared, Anthony. That's the other thing. Remember, I had just been on the air for just 18 months. Like I'd spent the previous 4 years understanding the mechanism of a sports department as a member of it, as an editor in it, as an asker of questions, as a logger of video. But being in that dream spot of being in front of the camera really had just been a year and a half. And I didn't spend a lot of time anchoring, and that was going to be my primary responsibility at ESPN. I just recently went through some files, and not only did I feel like I wasn't performing well, it was documented as such by some higher ups. I don't know how I got these show reports from SportsCenter, but man, coordinating producer used to light into my stuff, man. Matter of fact, he marveled, Brian Leopold was his name, and he would marvel at nights where I was clean, like when it was just a good show, no stumbles, great writing, what have you. But what I did notice was a progression. That as I got more opportunities, like I got too much off the bat, They thought I could bite off what everybody else had done coming into that point. And amazingly, at that time, there were only 23 anchors at ESPN at the time.
It's insane.
I was number 23. And I was too young and too inexperienced to sit at SportsCenter 5 nights a week. And so I got moved to the edges. I got moved to just doing Friday and Saturday late night. And then probably the most important advent of my entire career was ESPN News. When that launched in the fall of 96, I was front and center Monday through Friday, 3-hour shifts. I had 4 to 7 primarily for a year. And that got my game tight, man. Better writing, better efficiency in show preparation, better presentation on the air because of reps, like everything else. Batting cage, right? Jugs machine, shooting free throws. It's no different. And so that opportunity really solidified that I actually could do it, because I think we were all concerned that I couldn't at that level. And then the NBA opportunity started coming. Started with NBA Today, right after the 97 All-Star game in Cleveland, 50th anniversary of the NBA. It's amazing. Here comes the 75th coming up.
Yeah.
Man, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Time flies. Time flies.
Then I think it's next year, 75th anniversary. And then NBA Tonight and NBA Matchup. And so it was written in the cards at that point that I would be a part of this orange leather for the duration.
And in speaking about that, so you're at ESPN and you're figuring out that maybe you're lacking a few things, right? What was it in specific that you felt like, I need to tighten this part of my game up? Obviously repetitions help, but what was that area that you felt was lacking for you?
Yeah, it's the command of anchoring. Like it's more than just sitting there and reading words moving off this mirror. Like it's being able to read, but people don't know you're reading. To be able to convey and spin a thought in many different ways, although you're going to do 200 shows a year. You know what I mean? Like, so it was the performance of being an anchor. Being a reporter, while having its own challenges, the performance part is very narrow. Like, you get in, do your report, minute 30, 3 minutes later, you're done. On to the next story. Sitting there for 60 minutes, sometimes with a partner, sometimes not. That's a whole nother monster that I just didn't have those experiences. So that's why I think it took, a good year and a half, 2 years to get that squared away.
And one of the things because at least what I like to do on mine, because I've been doing at least the interviewing aspect of this and on camera stuff for at least the past 3 years. It's really how long I've been doing it. And I always like to look at other people's work and kind of dissect how they do it and kind of pick the things that they do really well and try to see how I can incorporate it in my own way.
Great approach.
And one thing that I noticed about you is that your energy is very, number one, it's very infectious, which is just, I think that's just your personality, but also your energy is always there. It doesn't matter if the Heat are on a winning streak, on a losing streak, if it's on Monday or if it doesn't matter. Like, your energy is always at 100%. How do you go about making sure, do you have a routine? What is it that you do to make sure that you are consistently ready and you have that energy?
I don't have to do anything. I work at a toy store. When you work at a toy store, man, what do you have to be mad about? Right? Like, literally, there's another Pat Rileyism. We work in the toy department of human affairs, sports. I know what it is. I am a fan. Like, I know who I'm talking to. I'm talking to myself. And so I approach everything with an enthusiasm of someone who is fully aware that they have fooled the world. Like, I mean, unless the AC at the arena is off, I don't really sweat. I don't swing an axe. I don't have dirt under my nails doing the job that I do, man. I'm the grandson of a janitor, man. Okay. And I'm not sure my grandfather had many other options. But when I think about that generational differential and meaning how much time has passed, and then what I do now comparatively, I mean, what a blessing, man. And I think about that stuff all the time. It's not like these are like passing thoughts. And so I have infused these triggers, man. I hear that music. I can be upset. I can be fatigued. You put that music on, and I mean, open to the show, and you turn on a red light. I'm gonna give you everything I got.
And it's just like this switch that just goes off.
It is. If Ruth Riley Hunter was on the Zoom with us, she would tell you, like, I can literally be off doing whatever, texting whatever. That music comes up, man. It's Pavlovian almost, man. Everybody has their thing, right?
Yeah.
Can we discover what it is? That's the challenge. I don't know if it's the meaning of life, but it gives us meaning in our lives to discover our purpose. Maybe there's something else I could have done or should do, but I'm relatively decent at what I've chosen as my career, and that helps.
I think you're being very humble to say, "Oh, you're just decent."
Not usually my characteristic, Anthony. You're bringing the very best out of me.
No, bro, I really admire the stuff that you do. You know, that's why I wanted to interview you in the first place.
Thank you.
And why I kind of fanned out when I saw you at the Louisville game in 2012. I still find that crazy. I'm like, really? It's Jason Jackson and Tim Reynolds of the Associated Press? Like, really? Like, all of y'all are just in the same room?
And I hope, man, your experience, now and then and down the road is the same, man. We're all sports fans. We may not root for the teams we cover. I do because I work there, But we don't forget the fact that there's a desire to escape from the day in, day out stuff that our fans require. That's almost how we get to the next day, is this bridge where we can kind of release and dive in, act like we know everything, act like we can coach, act like we can still play, and enjoy ourselves, or deal with the agony of or as we call it, the misery of things not going so well. But I don't discount what that means to people. And if you're going to make the time from 7 to 10:30, coming up this year 72 times a year, then the least I can do is give you a night of infotainment.
Absolutely. And I think that's a good way. I think in many ways it's a responsibility. It's your responsibility to entertain, to keep people's engagement there. Yeah. I think one of the biggest lessons I ever got was from Jim Barry, when he told me, like, when you're on camera, like, the best thing you can do is, like, pretend you're talking to your best friend. Yeah. That was the advice he gave me. Like, don't make it very informational. Just pretend like you're talking to your best friend. And I think that's really kind of a key for people.
JB's one of the best, man.
He is. He's very, how do you call it? He's very kind of, if you see him, he seems serious, but when you talk to him, he has that voice, that very kind of deep voice. And then he's a cool guy. He's a cool guy. Yeah. Always has been. Now, what last thing I kind of want to do, you had Hot Seconds with Jax.
Hot Seconds with Jax, that's right. Yeah.
Hot Seconds with Jax. Now, I don't have all the animations. I don't have the timeouts. I don't have all that stuff.
I'm cheating. I have a great production team, so don't worry about that.
But I do want to play a little rapid fire with you, Jason. Okay? So somehow here I'm going to add an animation somehow, some way, a clock, something to make it a little more interesting. So we're going to try and do it in under a minute. It's only about 10 questions, but as fast as you can answer, okay?
Yeah.
All right. What's your favorite movie?
Shawshank Redemption.
Shawshank Redemption. Okay. Best burger you ever had?
Wow. Best burger ever. I love Burger King burgers, but I want to give you something more nuanced than that. You know what? I really dig Shake Shack.
Shake Shack. Okay.
I really do.
Is it a specific order in Shake Shack?
Just the Shack burger. Yeah, no, I'm good right there.
All right, Shack burger. All right, ocean or lake?
River.
Okay, Okay, spun it. I like it. All right, pancakes or waffles?
Pancakes.
Pancakes. All right, ties or bow ties?
Mm. You left the ascot out. Bow tie. Bow tie.
Okay, Christmas or Thanksgiving?
Christmas.
Okay, now you're known for your suits. Do you have a specific favorite tailor?
Man, you gonna make me hurt my guys like that?
All
You gonna
right,
make me
name
do
a
that?
couple. Name a couple. Name a couple
No,
of them.
so Israel Gutierrez is probably the guy that I had the longest. He's a Miami guy who actually grew up in Cleveland Heights, the same suburb that I lived in. We didn't know each other back in the 70s and 80s. But Israel probably still has the most dominant impact in my closet.
Okay, interesting. All right, who's been your favorite interview guest?
Chris Bosh.
Chris Bosh. Any?
Thoughtful, creative, fun, engaging.
Okay, do you still have a? Because you've interviewed many people. Do you have a dream interview guest?
Barack Obama.
Barack Obama. Nice. It's a nice pick.
I could put Adam Silver down because he's turned me down 3 times. I still need to get the commissioner of our sport.
Before you're president of the United States.
Yeah.
All right, who's been the funniest guy to have worn a Miami Heat uniform?
Wow. The funniest. Still Shaquille. Shaquille, stop it.
Daniel?
Yeah, Shaquille had bits ready, man. I would think sometimes as he was rolling in from Star Island, he'd thinking of some sort of bit. I remember when he took over the job. We knew each other from my ESPN days, but when he came down and my job was recreated with the Miami Heat, they had gone without a reporter host for 6 seasons. Mark Jones preceded me, and then they had no one until I got in there. And Shaquille would say to me, "Now listen, brother, we're going to do this thing. Okay, this is all marketing. I'm going to bleep with you, and you just take it." I'm like, "Oh, really? That doesn't sound like it. It sounds like it's going well for you, and that's so much for me." But yeah, no, Shaquille instantly, if it was off the cuff or if it was something he put together, to this day, still the heavyweight champion of the world of funny.
He is. He is a pretty funny guy. Now, again, that's pretty much it for me. That's pretty much for me. Again, that was about 10 questions, rapid fire. I'm gonna try and add some animation, make it funny. But again, Jason, thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, man, I apologize it took so long for us to get together, but I appreciate your patience and diligence, and I look forward to the finished product.
No, not please, no worries. I know that with the season coming up, it feels like it ended like 2 days ago. So to ramp it up again, I wish you the absolute best this season. I know you're going to do a great job. I'm going to be tuning in. So
Awesome.
do a great job and continue to stay healthy during these.
Thank you. Oh, and to you and yours, man.